breaking it down in layman's terms, another behind the scenes review for best practices for video interviews. Now, today I want to showcase and spotlight a video interview I did with Darryl Praill back last year at the OutBound Sales Conference. Now, I encourage you to watch the full interview in its entirety. I'll have a link to that video interview footage as well. But for this video breakdown, we're going to highlight some key takeaways, lessons learned, and best practices from video interviewing. So let's showcase that footage with Darryl Praill right now.
We're backstage with Darryl Praill, and Darryl just came off stage. Quick wardrobe.
Couple of points there. I was solo on the camera before Darryl entered the set. It's a good idea to have both people in the start of the interview, but I just love the way Darryl improvises. He just walked in, put his glasses on, smile, and engage the audience and set the frame for the shot. A true presenter, a true interview pro. And throughout the interview, you'll notice how great Darryl is looking at me, the interviewer, but engaging the audience through the lens of the camera.
Darryl, welcome to Atlanta. Welcome to Outbound. How did it feel to be back in front of a live crowd?
It was surreal, Doug. I got to tell you, it was dynamite. The crowd is stunning. They're amazing. They're so receptive. They were applauding. They were reacting. They were laughing. They were like engaged. You wouldn't believe. So it was crazy. I got to tell you, I'm out of practice because I had massive butterflies. So that just tells you it's been a while, but it was, oh my gosh, stunning.
Well, you know, massive butterflies. You had to make pivots because it's been a while.
Let me set the context of Darryl's answer there, because it's really appropriate because he's doing some good story selling behind the scenes. This was one of the first events taking place in front of a live audience during the COVID time. So people were apprehensive, a little edgy. The first sales conference that really had people live in attendance. Of course, Darryl's a true master at interviews and speaking on the main stage, and there's a reason why he kicked off the Sales Outbound Conference.
Since we've been on stage, right, the microphone in front of a full capacity crowd or whatever you want to call it. But, you know, one thing about your presentation really anchored the point is, yeah, he was casually dressed. He's talking about the virtual world. Now he's made a wardrobe change because this is the beauty of Darryl being Darryl and changing it up. But let's talk a little bit about your presentation. Multi-channel, reaching out people, the pivot, it hit us hard. You made adjustments. That's what I took home from it. For multi-channel.
Oh yeah, and the best part, as I was telling the audience, is that, you know, I was talking about the 20 things that we learned in 2020. It wasn't Darryl's opinion. We had a live clubhouse with 100 sales reps. So this was your takeaway.
I love this response to Darryl about his presentation. 20 things we learned from 2020. He made it about the audience. It was their presentation. In fact, he used Clubhouse to outsource the content. What a genius idea for getting content and topics to present on. Ask your audience and deliver what they want. Give them what they want.
What you saw, and it was, we were making a lot of mistakes on sales automation. We were having to pivot. We had to be agile. We had to be graceful because people, you know, kids are showing up in Zoom calls and we're getting zoomed out. And also, we had to think about video etiquette, and there's just a list of things that we all did. But through it all, we became communal. The community is the number one overriding factor of what happened during COVID. We all came together on a shared common cause.
You're seeing a lot of different touch points, multi-channel. In that presentation, you rocked it. You started off Outbound, which was a big honor just to get things going. So, I mean, what Darryl did is he had two things, if you didn't see it, like he had to welcome everybody Outbound, and then he did his presentation. I know you've got a lot more in store. And speaking of that, VanillaSoft, yeah, major player here at Outbound. Let's talk a little bit about that. So,
that line of questioning I did is something that you'll want to do when you're covering events through video interviews. Obviously, you want to interview the speakers, the trainers, the talent, and the attendees, the guests, and the members. But more importantly, you've got to interview the event planners and the sponsors. Without sponsorship, there is no event. Now, in this case, Darryl at the time was working for VanillaSoft as Chief Revenue Officer, and they were the title sponsor for the event. So you want to have the title sponsor have their shine covering the event and interviews.
VanillaSoft title sponsor because we targeted this show specifically because this is the only show put on by sales reps for sales reps. All right, so this is our house. VanillaSoft, check us out, vanillasoft.com. Please do that. We're a sales engagement vendor. So we're going to allow you to do the multi-channel outreach with your cadences, the double or triple your pipeline. So if you're familiar with a sales loft or an outreach, well, then you should factor us into your consideration too. And that's what we do. So
I love how Darryl came with the answer about VanillaSoft. It's obviously planned, rehearsed. He knows his talking points, has a solid call to action about his company. And throughout the interview, Darryl does a wonderful job of preparation in his answers. Succinct, to the point, call to action statements.
Yeah, VanillaSoft definitely contributed major to Outbound this year. Now, I'm going to go back to the presentation one more time.
let's do it.
All right, because we talked about the audience reaction. Then we talked about, the sponsorship and the Outbound. Is there anything from that experience in that presentation, put you on the spot, that you wish you would have put in the presentation?
At this point in the interview, I love how Darryl takes his head and pulls it back for the question. It shows he's intrigued by my question. And that's one thing as an interviewer, you want to deliver insightful questions for your audience, challenge the person at times, but really bring that value out, something new, something refreshing. And I could sense Darryl's nonverbal actions. He was intrigued by my question, and he made that interview easy throughout the entire process because of his nonverbal communication.
And if you want to come back to that.
Actually, there's not. I mean, again, because it's not my presentation. It was what we came up with on Clubhouse.
Sure.
So it was the representation of the crowd. I mean, the fact is, I probably had about 30 things that we came up with, and that list, we had to scale it down to 20. But I think the sentiment was there, and I knew I was hitting it because the audience was nodding their head, like they were engaged, and it was personal for them. Just it's personal for you. It's personal for you.
Exactly.
COVID, for good or bad, brought us together and forced us to up our game, and that's that.
That's dynamite. Do you have any closing remarks? I know you hit the points from the club. I love the concept of crowdsourcing to get information.
Yeah, it's awesome, right?
And you just put it out there, like, the question is, what else could you add? Well, what Clubhouse kind of gave it to us.
Yeah.
Anything else that you would like to add right now?
That line of questioning is something that I highly recommend if you've got the time permitting. When it comes to interviewing, you want the person you're interviewing to have the chance to it's about them. You want their story to shine. You want to give them adequate time to talk about what they want to talk about. So I always use a question like, do you have any parting shots? Is there anything else that you want to add to cover yourself, but more importantly, cover the interview to make sure you're showcasing the story and the talking points in its entirety. It's a great way to wrap interviews up, but it's also a great way to make sure you cover all the material that's valid to the interviewee as well as to the audience.
I mean, the only other thing is, if you haven't signed up, I'm clear you have, because you're going to watch this, put your colleagues involved if you can, because this is dynamite content. Since you are watching this, I know you're a freak who loves the behind the scenes like me. That's cool. I'm going to encourage you, if you get a chance, check out my session on Friday, 90-minute masterclass on sales engagement deconstructed. So if your cadences and your outreach isn't working optimally, 90 minutes, and we are going deep, brothers and sisters, and you're going to take away so much gold. So I'm looking forward to that. Hope to see you there.
I hope to see you there too, Darryl. We're going to wrap it up on Friday with you too to hear about that presentation. Thank you for your time. And way to kick things off at
Thank you,
Outbound.
Flex.
And welcome to Atlanta and Outbound.
This is Outbound, folks.
Quickly, to recap that interview, let's just break it down. First thing, acknowledge your title sponsors when you're doing event video coverage. Have plans, succinct call to actions. Be prepared to answer those questions like Darryl did. Content, creating content. Why not ask your audience? Genius idea and concept by Darryl to use crowdsourcing, or better yet, Clubhouse, to plan his presentation. Give the audience what they want. Wrap-up questions. Always ask, is there anything else that you want to add? What are your top priorities? Let the interviewee have their parting shot at the end. That way you cover everything in its entirety. Throughout the interview, I love how Darryl engaged directly with the camera through the home lens of the virtual audience, as well as me, the interviewer. Made it easy, made it flow. I'm Doug, breaking it down in layman's terms. Lessons learned from video interviews, improving business communication skills.